In a city like Lagos, people often judge a man by what he has in his pocket, not by the fire in his heart. Some people only believe in success after they can touch it, and sometimes, by the time they finally see your worth, it is already too late. This is a story of Ao, a young man rejected for his poverty, a woman who mistook temporary struggle for permanent failure, and another who saw greatness long before the world noticed. The afternoon heat in Mushin was unforgiving. Inside a cramped one-room apartment, beads of sweat rolled down Ao's forehead as he bent over an old inverter. The tiny room was packed with wires, screwdrivers, broken electronics, and half-repaired gadgets. To anyone else, it looked like junk. To Ao, it was possibility. After nearly 4 frustrating hours, the inverter sparked back to life. Its green light blinked on. Ao smiled. Thank God. He wiped his hands and reached for his phone. The customer had promised to pay him 3,000 naira if he could fix it. It wasn't much, but it was honest money. Just then, the door opened. Bimbo walked in, elegant, perfectly dressed. Her perfume filled the room. Her sharp eyes scanned the clutter with visible irritation. So this is what you've been doing all day? Ao smiled softly. I fixed it. How much are they paying? 3,000. She stared, then laughed. A cold laugh. 3,000? Ao's smile faded. It's a start. Bimbo dropped her bag on the bed. Ao, everything with you is always a start. She crossed her arms. When will something finally become enough? Things are hard right now. Hard? She scoffed. My friend's boyfriend just bought her a new iPhone. Ao remained silent. Another one flew her to Ghana last weekend. Her voice hardened. And I'm here dating a man celebrating 3,000 naira. Ao reached into his pocket and brought out the cash. I wanted to give this to you. She stared at the crumpled notes. What exactly am I supposed to do with this? It can help with... She cut him off. This can't even fix my hair. The silence that followed was heavy. Then she said the words that would scare him forever. When you become somebody, maybe I'll take you seriously. She grabbed her bag. I'm going out. Bimbo, can we talk? There's nothing to talk about. And she slammed the door behind her. Ao stood frozen, the money still in his hand. For the first time, love felt like humiliation. That same evening, Bimbo sat in a luxury rooftop lounge in Lekki with her friends. Soft music floated through the air. Waiters moved elegantly between tables. The city lights sparkled below. Her friend Kemi leaned forward. So, where's your struggling boyfriend? The girls laughed. Bimbo rolled her eyes. Please don't remind me. What happened? The same thing. She mimicked Ao's voice. I'm working on something. The table erupted with laughter. Kemi shook her head. Bimbo, you're too fine to be managing suffering. Another friend smirked. There's this guy I know. Big money. Real money. Bimbo smiled. Now that sounded better. Her phone buzzed. A message from Ao. Did you get home safely? She stared at it, then locked her phone. No reply. Across Lagos, Ao lay awake staring at the ceiling. His message remained unread. Deep down, he knew something was slipping away. Days passed. The silence between them widened. Excuses became routine. Distance became normal. Until one afternoon, Ao saw the truth with his own eyes. Outside a cafe in Acadia, he spotted Bimbo stepping out of a black SUV. A tall, well-dressed man handed her shopping bags. Bimbo froze when she saw Ao. Ao. The man frowned. Who's this? Bimbo hesitated, then said, just someone I know. The words hit harder than any slap. Ao stared at her. Someone you know? She looked away. Ao, don't do this here. Then tell me the truth. She sighed impatiently. You really want the truth? Yes. Her face turned cold. I'm tired. Tired of what? Tired of suffering. His chest tightened. Tired of explaining why my boyfriend has nothing. Traffic roared around them, but all Ao heard was her voice. I refuse to be loyal to poverty. And with that, she stepped into the SUV and drove away, leaving him standing there, broken. That night, Ao sat alone in darkness. No lights, no food, no words, just silence. Then slowly, tears rolled down his face. Not because she had left, but because he had allowed someone else's opinion to define his worth. He stared at his reflection in the cracked mirror and whispered, "Never again." The next morning, Ao dressed in his only clean shirt and set out with his folder CVs. From Yaba to Victoria Island, from one office to another, the answer was always the same: "We'll get back to you." By evening, exhausted and hungry, he stopped at a roadside buka in Suralire. That was where he met Fumi. She sat alone with a laptop. Simple, graceful, calm. She looked up. "You look like Lagos has dealt with you today." Ao gave a weak smile. "You could say that." She studied him. "Job hunting." He nodded. "How did you know?" She smiled. The folder, the tired eyes, the disappointment. Something about her felt easy, safe, and before he realized it, he told her everything. Bimbo, the rejection, the humiliation. When he finished, Fumi was quiet. Then she said, "Good." Ao frowned. "Good." "Yes." He looked confused. She leaned forward. Sometimes life removes people so it can reveal who we're meant to become. Her words settled deep inside him. "So what do I do now?" Fumi smiled. "You build yourself." That moment changed everything. The next morning, Ao walked into an electronics workshop in Ojalegba. The owner, Baba T, barely looked at him. "What can you do?" "I'm willing to learn." The old man scoffed. "Learning is expensive. I'll pay with hard work." Baba T pointed at the filthy floor. "Sweep." And just like that, Ao's rebuilding began. The days were brutal. He swept floors, ran errands, was shouted at, corrected harshly, mocked by other apprentices. But he endured, because this time he was no longer trying to prove anything to Bimbo. He was becoming a better version of himself. Months passed. His skills sharpened. His confidence grew. Soon, customers began asking for him by name. And every now and then, Fumi would visit, sometimes with food, sometimes with encouragement, always with belief. One evening, as they sat outside the workshop eating jollof rice from takeaway packs, Fumi asked, "Do you still think about her?" Ao was silent. Then he nodded. "Sometimes." And he looked ahead. "I'm beginning to understand something." "What?" "I wasn't grieving love. I was grieving rejection." Fumi smiled. "That means healing has started." One afternoon, after Ao successfully repaired an industrial stabilizer others had failed to fix, Baba T called him over. "You have skill." Ao nodded respectfully. "Thank you, sir." The older man handed him an envelope. Inside was cash. "Buy your own tools. Start building your future." Ao's hands trembled. "This is too much." "It's investment. Don't waste it." That was the beginning. Ao started taking side jobs, then bigger contracts. Soon, he opened his own electronics service center. The sign read, "AO Tech Solutions," and standing beside him at the opening was Fumi, smiling proudly, while Ao was rising. Bimbo's world was collapsing. The wealthy man she had chosen turned out to be everything money often hides: flashy, arrogant, unfaithful. One evening, she confronted him. "Where were you?" He barely looked up. "Out." "With who?" He smirked. "You were never the only one." Her world shattered. And just like that, the luxury ended. The gifts disappeared. The attention vanished, leaving only regret. Weeks later, while scrolling through social media, she froze. There was Ao, standing proudly beside his business, confident, successful, and beside him, Fumi. Her heart dropped. No. The next day, Bimbo appeared at his workshop. "Ao." He looked up, calm, unshaken. "I heard about your business." News travels fast. She forced a smile. "I made mistakes." He said nothing. Tears filled her eyes. "I was foolish." Still silence. Then she whispered, "I want another chance." A.O. looked at her for a long moment, then spoke. You didn't leave because I was poor. You left because you couldn't see beyond the present. Her face fell. I've changed. He nodded. I believe you. Hope lit her eyes. Then he added, but some lessons arrived too late. At that moment, Fumi entered carrying food. A.O. walked naturally toward her, and in that instant, Bimbo understood. She had lost him forever. Weeks later, on a rooftop overlooking Lagos, A.O. turned to Fumi. The city lights glowed beneath them. He reached into his pocket. When I had nothing, you stayed. Fumi's eyes softened. When nobody believed in me, you did. He knelt. Everything I built began the day you reminded me of my worth. He opened the ring box. Fumi, will you marry me? Tears filled her eyes. Yes. Months later, Bimbo saw their wedding photos online, and for the first time, she fully understood what she had lost. Not money, not comfort, not status, but a man of substance, a builder, a future. In Lagos, many people mistake appearance for value. They chase what glitters and ignore what is quietly growing. But true worth is not always loud. Sometimes it begins in a tiny room with broken wires and a dream nobody else can see. So never mock someone because they are still building, because one day they may finish building without you. If this story taught you something, let us know in the comments. Would you wait for someone who is still building? And if you enjoyed this African folktale, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this lesson today. See you in the next story.